It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
Hey, it's the Chief from the Dice Tower. We're going to be talking about The Great War. Hello, Richard Borg. For those that know the Command and Colors system, or most famously, Memoir 44. The Great War, for those that don't know, that means World War I, trench warfare, gas attacks, and huge groups of guys running up out of the trench, crossing a complete no man's land right into heavy artillery and machine guns. So can they do that with the system? We'll go in and we'll take a look. Let me show you some components first, and then we'll come back out and I'll give you my thoughts.
The whole Command and Color system is always kind of nice, if not simple and easy. You've got division into a left, center, right. You can see these lines that carry all the way through, and that's going to be key for movement and a fog of war action. I threw these out here just so you can kind of see them. This is a crater, and you've got some woods here, if you can kind of tell. They're all kind of halfway demolished. You've got a hill, and you've got a cool old building. All these are trenches. You'll see I've got an opposing trench line. Now I went in a straight line. I got to tell you, one of the things, one of my negatives, just me personally, for the Command and Color system, no different for the Great War, is to do the scenarios, there's always some setup. Now usually that means just some terrain pieces, but because of the nature of trench warfare, you got to do all these trenches. And I'm going to tell you, these little X pieces, oh my God, I've got to keep these separate because it's also a straight, and I swear I'll be like digging, like where is it? Where is it? And then I'm coming up with these Y pieces, and then, oh, I need a curve, and it starts to make me a little batty, but it looks cool. Now the other thing that has a lot of people quite upset, I'm going to have some still photos, and you may not quite, let me just grab one of them. Both these guys are missing their bayonets. All right, it looks like they've almost got, oh, come on now. Looks like they've almost just got like a little nub rifle, maybe even a shotgun on a shortened barrel. And I did good on some, but this guy lost his bayonet. Now it looks like he's carrying like some little submachine gun. I'll do close-up shots of that and show you in a little bit. That has a lot of people upset. I got to admit, it would have been nice. I'm not big on clipping things out, but this version, the Plastic Soldier Company, PSC in England, that's what they make. They make plastic soldiers. So you had to know you're going to be getting plastic soldiers. By the way, this is how I move them. I'm not overly protective of them in the first place. They move fine. You know, the system's always a little fiddly on your soldiers because you got little army men on the board. No big deal. All right. In the Command and Color system, the fog of war comes from the cards. So what happens is there's a left, center, right. If I play this one, I can move 3 different units that are in the center borderline. I might have had this one, which allows me to move just 3 on my left. Might have been able to move 3 on my right. You have similar things that are, instead of an attack, it says recon right. And now I can only do 1. There's a recon left, and then you got recon and force, which is 1, 1, and 1. You've got probes, which allow you to move 2. And again, sometimes it's left, sometimes it's center, sometimes it's right. All right, and it tells you on there as well. So the first thing is, with this system, I'm going to zoom back out. Left, center, right. So a lot of times you're limited in, hey, I really, really need to activate a unit over here because he's charging across the field. But I don't have the cards to do it. This can be frustrating to some players, but it is designed to be the fog of war that I can't make my soldiers, I'm playing the commander, do everything I want them to do right when I want them to do it. This means you have to plan your attacks to go get the other guy, and it means sometimes you want to be a little fluid in responding to attacks that are coming to you. Now, instead of just having those, you also have some cards. I'm not going to explain the text on each one of these, and I'm going to zoom back in and I'll set them down, and if you want to pause, you can sit and read them. All right, but you have cool cards that'll be in your hand like Storm of Fire that you can use to take certain actions, do certain things that give you a little bit more control. Big Show, and I know you can't read these. Infantry Assault, all right? And what these allow you to do, direct from HQ, these give you a little bit more control and give pause to your neighbor over there on what you can and can't do. And there are a lot of these in this game. So there's a whole lot of extra flavor and strategy wrapped around these. But in this game, on top of the command cards, you've got some combat cards that come with this symbol on it. These are really, really cool because you're going to have 2 of these in your hand, sometimes more, sometimes less, but you're going to be spending command points in order to use these. So this one costs 2. Command card Espionage. Hold at all costs 1, lets you do some little things here. All right, Improve Logistics. Heck, that's free. Gas Attack. So you get all this flavor from World War I. It's going to cost 5. Look what it does. You're going to play it alongside your command card. Target all enemy units, soldier units. Enemy soldier units attacked in ranged combat this turn may not ignore flags. Flags usually make you retreat. I'll get into that. Rolled against them for any reason. All right. So you're going to get into a lost messenger. You get hand grenades coming in. You can see it costs 4 for a machine gun barrage. You can see what you're going to do. It plays alongside your command card. So you're saying, where do I get these? Where do I get these? Look, Matahari, hello. Where do I get these points? Lice, gosh, you gotta love that. Nice art too. Where you get those is from the dice. Everybody's pretty familiar with, well, sorry. If you played the game, you know that these are like surrender flags. They'll cause a unit you've attacked to retreat. That's exactly what you're looking for, by the way. Those are the little HQ or command tokens that you'll get that you'll then spend in order to trigger off like this combat card Espionage. So it would cost 2. So when you roll these, it's going to be a miss because I'm going to show you that's retreat. This is like if you've got a barrage, it counts as a hit. Sometimes it does some other things. Same deal, close combat counts as a hit. Otherwise it's a miss. But this will always cause a unit to lose a soldier. So you've got lose a soldier, retreat, get yourself some of those little tokens that allow you to play the cards. I've rolled before and hope that I'll get this because it's such a great card that I'm going to be able to play. All right, there's also some very cool off-board artillery. Now, you don't need line of sight. There's no figures to represent these. You have this card that sits literally on the bottom edge of your board. You can bring these in with some of your regular command cards that are going to allow you to fire artillery. All right, for the off-board artillery, you have a template that you're going to put on the target hex that you want to hit. But what you're going to do is you're coming in and you're going to roll these targeting dice. Now the dice correspond, so that would have actually meant that this area got hit, this area got hit, and this area got hit. I didn't even hit my on-target area. In order to hit the on-target area, I would have had to get doubles. All right, and then it's kind of cool and different. If I get doubles, I'm going to end up rolling hits for both this hex, and that means I'm going to be on target for this hex. So the doubles can be great unless sometimes I place this out where I'm hoping to take things around on the periphery. But here's the reason why you really want to get on target. Your combat or your battle dice are going to be much more deadly if things are actually on target in this zone. So it's important to get on target because if you're on target, any one of these die that are rolled, or if you roll these dice and you get this response, now again, you'd only roll 2 because you only got 2 of a kind, but it would cause a unit that's in the on target area. You know, this would make them lose a soldier, this would make them lose a soldier, and or this would make them lose a soldier. So being on target is much more deadly. If you end up not having something on target, in other words, you have something like this, then you're only going to apply the burst symbol and the soldier symbol. Now remember, any terrain factors apply. So if they're in a trench, trenches offer a whole lot of protection where they actually get to ignore a certain amount of dice that come out. Very beneficial to be in terrain. But if you're coming across that open area, there's almost no protection, no man's land. So artillery can be good, but it is a little bit random, but it's a nice little fact that the artillery wasn't so accurate for the period. All right, you can see the British units are crossing no man's land, headed toward the Germans that are in the trench. You're getting ready, you've played a card. The card allows you to do an action with these fellas, and you want to know their range. Well, you can see they're not in close combat, which is the 3 with the parentheses around them. They're in the 2. They're 2 away, and they're going to get to roll 2 dice. Had they been further, they would only get to roll 1, and you can see they can be out of range if they're at 5. Now you can see kind of what the MG does. Then there's a mortar team down here, so you can see the range extends. But the most dice you're ever going to be rolling is going to be 3 without some other modifiers that can come in. So you are literally limited to these 3 dice. And when these guys are in a trench, they're going to get to ignore 2 hits, and they can ignore up to 2 retreat flags. Very, very difficult to hit them. Now, if they were able to move up and get 1 hex away, they're now in what's called close combat. And when they're in close combat, they will get the benefit, and it won't be in, I can't get my hand, they will get the benefit of this death head. And in close combat, because of the way the trench system, they only get to ignore 1 combat die. So they've got to close. Now, if they can get in that neighboring trench, let's say they were able to go ahead and boom, get all the way into that area. Now they're literally just dealing with no modifiers at all. They're on the same level. They're basically running through the trench. So you're sending your troops out trying to get into that trench level. But again, you're going up against machine guns and mortars and artillery, and there's possible gas attacks. And you've got all these other little cards that can come in and affect you. But there's nothing cooler than when you make that desperate charge across open terrain, and the other player in this case has no cards in this particular zone that he can play. It's like they're frozen. And that is a nice fog of war. A little bit frustrating. I've seen guys get really mad and say the game's broken, I can't get the card I want. But hopefully they're doing their own thing, and maybe they're turning your flank on the other side. That's it in a nutshell. Boom. The Great War from Plastic Soldier Company.
All right, the Great War. So you've got that same system of left, center, right, where it's implying a little fog of war, and you don't always know exactly when you're going to be able to move the units that you may want to use. You got a ton of those command cards that are in there that allow you a little bit more lateral or latitude, and then you've got those combat cards and the HQ tokens that you get from rolling the dice, and that's a nice little trade-off, a little something extra, a little something different in here. So that's one thing I really like in this. Now, there's been a lot of comments, and I've already thrown some pictures in showing you how hard it is to clip these little figures out. PSC is the company. It's the Plastic Soldier Company out of the UK, and I like the little soldiers in here. I actually had no problem moving them around. It was no problem, but boy, clipping them out. As you saw, I included a picture of the little snips I used, and even that took me a while to figure out how I wasn't going to be applying like tension to that one little area that holds onto the bayonet and pop. And I kept popping them and popping them. But hey, I don't expect my guys to be pristine. I'm not going to paint them. I've got apparently a bunch of dudes with what I call nude Lee Enfield 303s. No bayonet. I hope they don't close and get too close. That's probably the one big negative. The only other negative I have, and it's really the same for the entire Borg system, and I apologize as my shepherd walks around on the floor in the middle of the night. and lays down, is that Command & Color system always takes me a while to set up. Very nice. I've had some people telling me they're having a hard time sourcing it because it is from the UK. Hey, if it's a great game, which I think it is, I think you're going to be able to find more of it. And hey, I bet you the guys in the UK have a hard time sourcing some of the stuff we got. So turnaround's fair play. Hey, it's the Chief with the Dice Tower. See you guys later. One final little message. This will be my last video for the Dice Tower. It's been a great time. I really appreciate Tom letting me even come on his show and do some of these reviews. For those that are interested, I've actually started my own board gaming channel on YouTube called Bonding with Board Games. Just come check me out there if you so choose. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dice Tower. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.